Is this normal? The dot behind the end of the file. In fact, Pascal is quite simple. The program looks like this. I'm going to start a new project. Blank, it will be more new. No, I will add it to this. Now, let's look at this one. Overall, we have several types of files. The program file and the units. The code is usually in the units now, in the way we program. The program file starts with program. There is a uses section that includes all the units, so all the dependencies used in the program, with the link to the corresponding file in the directory structure. A begin-end, which is the body of the program, the main in C. And so this thing, the block of code starts with begin, it ends with end, and the program, or the file in any case, ends with end. If there is something at the end, afterwards it is not taken into account by the compiler, it stops at end. And the units, I'll have a simple one lying around somewhere. Here. Yeah, there you go. The units, in fact, are blocks of code with an interface part, which is visible from the outside and usable by the outside, and an implementation part which is used only locally. And so afterwards we find a bit of the same blocks in everything. We have uses with dependencies, possibly procedures, functions, classes, method implementations, the interface, things that we find in many programming languages, object-oriented. And here, in this case, the same actually, the file. The unit ends with end, period. And the same. The compiler considers that what is behind does not exist, so we can put whatever we want behind. Obviously, we tend to put nothing. The structure is quite simple. Unit, interface, implementation, end. And program begin end globally. There we can also put code if we want. But there, in Delphi, it doesn't put any by default, it creates forms by default. So units that have an associated screen, like this thing here. In fact, it's Pascal code with code for the screen. No, it was LTF12. And the screen code is readable. We have access to everything. So obviously we avoid manipulating the screen manually. So here it's because I have images that contain binary data. It's a bad example on a game, but if I go all the way down, I might have... No, on this one I only have images, so obviously it's not going to work. But overall we have the source, and here we have the component palette. New form. Here I am on a project that can be compiled on Windows, Mac, iOS, Linux and Android. The FireMonkey project. Otherwise there is the historical framework called VCL. Here we have a form with its source. So the form is the screen. We obviously have units with nothing or forms that are not displayed. And in fact we have a palette of elements in which we find the components, the visual or non-visual elements like timers, for example, database access. So we choose what we want to put in the palette. We place them on the screen, arrange them as we want, relative to each other. You are going to pass there, or he was too high, he must be outside the screen there, so less something. And so we have our elements, we arrange the screen as we want, and then we design our screens in most cases. And so there, in a game, I bypass this system to use images. A set of sprites or shapes, because in fact in FireMonkey, we also have a part that is purely drawing, but in the form of components. So it's quite practical. We have classic shapes like rectangles, circles, layouts, and others in which we can fit an image that is constrained by the shape we use. So if I put a circle, I can place in its background an image that will be displayed in the circle, for example. So I use it for games and that kind of stuff, especially with rectangles. Most sprites are in the form of rectangles. Here, I will go into my assets. It's not necessarily the best example, but here it's an explosion. No, we're on the character. So if I put this one, for example, it will end up in a circle inside. if we display it correctly in bitmap. Sorry, in stretch, there you go. So I have my character. And so I can do whatever I want with it afterwards.